Hi everybody, this is just a short tag-along video to go over example number 6 on the 1.2 lesson. So we got fractions, all right? We had decimals last time, and it seemed like we could instantly get rid of the decimals by multiplying by 10, or we could just hold off on things and then we would eventually have to multiply by 10 anyway on the top and bottom. So there are two methods for this working out. I'll just take it one at a time. So we need y by itself. Remember, the whole y equals mx plus b is our goal. We're always trying to get there. So I need the x term to the other side. I can just straight up subtract 3/10 x to both sides. That gives me 3/5 y is equal to, and again, write the x term first, negative 3/10 x. It's a positive 4, so I'm putting plus there. All right, and now what do we normally do? We divide all parts by 3/5. So I'm going to use the division symbol here just because it's getting kind of weird with dividing by fractions. Okay, so if you use this technique, you are now going to have to figure out what is, so I'll just do it right here. What is negative 3/10 divided by 3/5? And what is 4 divided by 3/5? So there's a rule for dividing fractions. The rule is you basically just, you flip the, well, we can call it the thing you're dividing, yeah? So you flip 3/5, make it 5/3, and then you just have to multiply. That's all you got to do to divide fractions. Notice the left one, the first one, remains unchanged. The second one, flip the second and multiply. You know, that's all you're doing. And then when you multiply fractions, you can just do cross-canceling like this. 3 divided by 3 is 1, all right? And 5 divided by 10 is 1/2. So when you multiply this out, you got negative 1 times 1 over 2 times 1. So that part right there is negative 1/2 x. So y equals negative 1/2 x. And then over here, again, you flip the second and multiply, but I think you're also going to want to put the 4 over 1, just to indicate that there's a fraction there. So 4 over 1 times 5/3. Which ends up being 20 over 4 times 5 is 20, over 1 times 3 is 3. That's 6 2/3. I think we just converted a fraction or a decimal to that. So it was kind of handy in my brain right away. And it's plus, there we go. So if you know how to divide fractions, you're solid with that approach. The m is going to be negative 1/2. The b is going to be 6 2/3. And I'm showing you nothing new with the graphing, right? Go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2/3 of a block. Go up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2. And there's really no room to go left. We don't need to mess with underneath. Okay. Now here's an alternate method. If you're like, yeah, that's great, but I hate fractions. If you hate fractions, this might be for you. So, I'm going to rewrite this in its entirety. And you know what? I'm actually going to make 4 into a fraction. This method is all about finding common denominators at the very beginning of the statement. So you see an equation, you see fractions floating around, you say to yourself, I want to make a common denominator right away. So 5, 10, and 1. Basically, we're talking about what's the smallest number that divides them all. It's 10, because 10 divided by 5 is 2. So that means you multiply times 2 times 2. Yeah. 10 divided by 10 is 1. So I'd multiply the top and bottom by 1, or just leave it as is, because multiplying by 1 does nothing. And then 10 divided by 1 is 10. So that means you'd multiply the top and bottom of this by 10. That gives you 6. By the way, if the y is just hanging out off to the side, that really means it's going to go in the top of the fraction, because you'd be multiplying by a whole, almost like a whole number, but you'd put it over 1. So you got 6y over 10 plus 3, same thing with the x, 3x over 10, and then 40 over 10. Here's the deal. If you got an equation and you find a common denominator, if everybody's got the same denominator, you could multiply both sides by 10, which would cross-cancel with the bottom. I'm okay with you guys just saying, ditch the denominators once you find common denominators in the equation for both sides. So you just divide. I mean, here's technically what you're doing. You're saying times this by 10, times that by 10, and times this by 10. And then cross-cancel, cross-cancel, cross-cancel. It's 6y plus 3x equals 40. Now, okay, so at that point you have bigger numbers, but you're still just getting the x's over here, dividing by 6. Simplifying this fraction, negative 3 over 6 is negative 1/2. And then 40 over 6 we just showed over here. Oh, wait. We didn't show it. 40 over 6. Cut it in half is 20. Cut it in half is 3. 20 thirds is 6 2/3. So whenever you're dealing with fractions that are kind of riddled throughout an equation, you've got this approach, you got that approach. They're both pretty solid. I just pick one and go with it, though. All right, thanks for watching.